I'm pretty familiar with them.
Hello, good morning, everybody. You've got Jan and Dwayne here from
Hey
bulletproofpub.com.
guys,
And so this morning we've got a little bit of a slideshow for everybody. Uh, we talk a lot about the trivium. We talk a lot about logical fallacy and protecting ourselves. We're going to introduce, actually, the first thing I want to introduce is this week's, the new edition of our zine. And so that is in AV Media. Where can I find that, Jan?
the zine's not up yet, man.
Oh,
We're still working on that, but we can go to your blog, and the blogs basically build the zine. So if you go to the blogs, which are up that will build the zine, we can actually go through it now.
okay. You know what?
Boom, you got it. It's all
Let's
there.
let's do that.
There's your fallacies.
Right. So there's the latest article that was just published yesterday, I think.
Nope, just
Today,
half an
this
hour
morning.
ago.
Oh, okay. And so here's, I just showing people where it is so you can go and read it. It's actually not a very long read for those accustomed to reading my stuff. This is kind of an anomaly. It's probably a 10-minute read, okay? And so from there, we don't have the copy, but
Tell you what though, Dwayne, that one actually hit home with me because when we hit in the Cold War, I come from the Eastern Bloc.
right.
I have a lot of personal experience with a lot of these subjects that we're just people read from books, like communism, Russia.
Sure.
The other day, if you remember, I put a post on Facebook, or actually you don't remember, but oh, you do, but I put a story up where I was actually in the bath when I was 5 years old getting my bath. It was a knock on the door, and it was Russian soldiers. There was Russian soldiers at my door while I was
Wow.
in the bath. I mean, they
Wow.
just wanted water, but that's water. Yesterday, when I was 5 years old, they wanted water. Today, they want my dollar. You know what they did, right? You know how they turned the ruble into gold backed money now. That just happened last week. We got to start. Well, we don't want to tell people about it because that's going to cause a panic.
Right.
But our subscribers and people who watch our show should benefit from the knowledge that we are imparting on them, because that's going to get them a step ahead, because they're going to know what's happening before they're being told what's happening.
Right. And so you're talking about personal uh, Gnostic knowledge, right? The best knowledge you can have, personal
Right,
experience
prima
of
facie, man.
things.
Yeah,
And
right there,
so,
man.
this is really what we're trying to do, involve people into an escape from Plato's cave. Join the escape from Plato's cave. So this is an analogy of our world right now. And for those unfamiliar with it, uh, we probably don't have a lot of time to go into it today because we've got a little bit of an agenda to stick with. But this is an important story that people need to understand. Okay, and that's why it's on the cover of this latest zine, because this is where we are as we are trying to climb out of Plato's cave. We are releasing ourselves from shackles here and watching shadows on the wall, mere images, right? And we're climbing out and stepping into the light of knowledge and seeing the world as it is. And no longer are we trapped by these mental images that are presented to us here, uh, represented in these three men as the mainstream media. Really is how that all unfolds, right? Mainstream media creates images on a two-dimensional screen, and we mistake that for reality, and that is the conundrum that these three gentlemen in the dark down here find themselves in. Okay, and we want everybody to climb out, unshackle themselves, realize what's going on, and come join us out here. So that's the reason behind the cover.
Well said, Dwayne. Well said, brother.
Okay, so then a little clunky on all of this. So now I want to go to the trivium and the ways to do that, the ways to start uh, finding your way out of the cave, out of the darkness and into the light of the truth. Okay, and so I talk a lot about the trivium. Jan and I use that in our own personal lives. I've personally been using it for over a decade. And this really is the education that they've removed from our, or the knowledge that they have removed from our education. And so something that's been removed from our education in order to take advantage of us must be important. And then to determine that is to determine then the reverse or the alternate, that putting it back into ourselves, and again, learning the knowledge that was removed is the answer to overthrowing all of this tyranny that we are experiencing. So here,
So setting our mind free, you're saying that's how we essentially break the chain here. We have to
pardon?
set our mind free,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. This is what this journey of awakening is all about. It's really just re-engaging with our political environment and taking responsibility for our beliefs and actions in a free and open society. Okay, so one of the ways that we can determine the truth, because it is obviously uh, obfuscated these days, it seems very hard to find, and we are told this by the expert in sort of every avenue that we want to explore as humans. We are confronted with an expert that says this is far too complicated for you to understand, and you can rely on authority to tell you how things are. Okay, so you know, to identify errors in logic, I mean, to just believe in the expert opinion is a logical fallacy in itself, and we're going to get into that here
Still
too.
the authority.
Yeah, argumentum ad auctoritatem, which has actually been removed from the internet. You can't even find that term anymore. About 6 years
There's
ago,
so
you
much you
could.
can't find on the internet anymore. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous, man.
So this is really the substance behind Bulletproof and the history of propaganda here. This opening quote from Plato George from chapter 9, Fallacies of the Trivium. Okay, so the proper attitude and argument is expressed by Socrates. What sort of man am I? I am one of those who would be glad to be refuted when saying a thing that is untrue, glad also to refute another if he said something inexact, not less glad to be refuted than to do it, since I deem it the greater blessing in proportion as it is a greater good to be released from that which is the greatest evil than to release another from it. And so when he's talking about greatest evil, that is not knowing the truth. That is believing in lies is the greatest evil that we can commit to ourselves individually. And then as we disseminate those lies, it is a great travesty of our responsibility. So I come into contact with these kinds of people all the time. So fallacies become, once you read the article, I talk about how fallacies are our defense mechanism. They become our surface to air missiles, our radar.
It's our armament. It's our munitions.
Well,
It's our defense layer. It's
it's
everything.
our defense layer, and then our munitions become primary sources, and the truth becomes the atomic bomb. Is the point that I make there, right? The truth, it obliterates all falsity and fallacious argument. So how do we find that? Well, there's three things. There's fallacy, falsity of fact, and contradiction. Once you remove those three things, the truth is there for you to see whether you like it or not, or whether it makes you feel good or not. Right? Ultimately, the truth usually makes you uncomfortable. So this is
Yeah,
one of
how do you
the.
feel about going over to where we got some fallacies listed up? We don't have it on our website, but they're, like Jan Irving, he's got a great
Yep.
website that's got the fallacies. How would you
Sure.
feel about jumping over there and just actually let's look at some of these fallacies and read them? Because he's got
Yep.
some really basic ones there that I feel everyone commits
Yes.
regularly. And if they just had an awareness, some of this nonsensical responses to comments on Facebook and things that just don't make sense, they just wouldn't exist.
Yes. People would realize that it's not an argument when it's coming out of their mouth, right? And so I've got something set up here
All right.
as far as the most popular and most widely used and effective logical
Yeah. Let's
fallacies
hit them.
used by the media. But I just want to get through these first couple little highlights here on this page, and then we can definitely go there. So I highlight here because that whole paragraph is a lot to read, but all you really need to take out of it is a fallacy is an error in process, and falsity is an error in fact. Okay, so this is really for maybe a lot of people an introduction to logic. So to discover a fallacy is to discover the reason why the mind was deceived into regarding error as truth. And so we see a lot of people walking around with masks right now, living this existence. And we have to help these people understand and then take that understanding to a knowledge so they can take those masks off. They can stop living in so much damn fear. So there's two types of fallacies, the formal fallacies and material fallacies. They're highlighted in green. And this is really as deep as we're going to go today. So I don't want people's minds to hurt, okay? So formal fallacies, there's three subgroups: opposition, eduction, and then a syllogism. So that's having, this is, some people are familiar with this. The syllogism, you have two propositions and a conclusion. A plus B, therefore A and B. So material fallacies, there's two, one in diction and then extra dictionum. And fallacies were devices in oral, I highlighted this for you, Jan. Fallacies were devices used in oral controversy in Athens by the sophists, who sought not truth but victory over their opponents by these merely apparent refutations. These fallacies continue to be used, however, to deceive others and sometimes even to deceive the ones using them. Now, this is really the critical part, is that last few words is we want to have people no longer deceiving themselves. First and foremost, we take care of ourselves, right? When a plane is going down, who do we put the air mask on first? Ourselves, and then our
I
child.
don't know. That's maybe you. I'm not typically like that. I will
Okay.
tell you though, as far as the sophists seems like it's a complicated word and a complicated maybe intellectual elite or something, but it's not. It's just people who use a great
Yeah.
amount of
Oh,
sophistication
yeah.
to seem more important than other people, and they have the intellectual capacity to use fancy words to describe simple things. So now a brown box is now immaculately articulated, wonderfully splashing brown box of exquisite design with marble, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I would say that every mainstream pundit, every talking head that you see on mainstream television is a sophist because
Yeah,
they fit that definition that they just want to be right. The truth has really no bearing on the
no
news.
bearing.
Northeast, Southwest. I mean, CBS was created to sell cigars, okay, by the Paley family, and so that's what's going on there. So I'm going to switch over my screens here and we're going to start going through some examples, okay? So I just brought this. Can you see that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so 15 common logical fallacies, and we're just going to read the top explanation. Logical fallacies, those logical gaps that invalidate arguments, aren't always easy to spot. While
yeah.
some come
Straw
in
man. There's one every day you see.
Yes. While some come in the form of loud, glaring inconsistencies, others can easily fly under the radar, sneaking into everyday meetings and conversations undetected. So this is sneaking into our language, into the grammar that I talk about in the article. How, the mushroom cloud is far more identifiable than logical fallacy because it's in our language, like Chomsky talks about. In political discourse, every word has two meanings, and
Name your terms, bud.
the general public is largely ignorant of that fact, and this is how the government really fools people. So, having an understanding of these basic logical fallacies can help you more confidently parse the arguments and claims you participate in and witness on a daily basis, separating fact from sharply dressed fiction. Okay, so we're going to just go to the first one that they've listed as one of the more common ones, and that's the straw man fallacy. Okay, so this fallacy occurs when your opponent oversimplifies or misrepresents your argument. So I've got a
They just
great
basically
example.
make something up, is what happens. They can't attack what you are and what you said. So they just basically almost create a whole nother being and they attack that and then they connect the two together.
Yeah,
Straw
and
man
here's a
fallacy.
great example. Okay, so this article was way back in 2016, and I used to share this all the time because this is one of the best examples of a straw man I've ever seen, and it's hidden in the language. Okay, so what do we see in the headline? And it's actually a picture of Hillary Clinton, and it's her quote from, I think, the first presidential debate that they had, where she was actually quoted saying, Donald Trump says that climate change is a hoax invented by the Chinese, to which Donald Trump responded, I did not say that. And so when I'm watching that, I was like, yeah, you did, Don. You definitely did say that. And so I went and started researching. And so these are the things I find, right? So the claim is that Donald Trump says that climate change is a hoax invented by the Chinese. Okay, mostly true, we see. Okay, and a second one, and this sentence declarative and definitive. Yes, Donald Trump did call climate change a Chinese hoax. Okay, so at this point, you want to see maybe some primary sourced examples. If you're really going through it, you're going to be honest with yourself, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, right wing, left wing, whatever you are. You know, a logical process eliminates all of those labels. And now we are looking for primary source material. So this would be one. This is Donald J. Trump on Twitter, right, himself, saying the concept of global warming was created by and for the Chinese in order to make U.S. manufacturing non-competitive. So there it is, right? There's the admission. Primary source, except one major glaring problem. He says global warming. See that?
It's comedy.
Now, for all of those out there saying that they're two different things, go find me a scientist that agrees with you. All scientists, and I don't deal in absolutes, but you know, scientists aren't worth their salt if they're going to tell you that global warming and climate change have the same definitions. They are two different terms. Thus, they have two
They're
different
not worth the
definitions.
shoes they stand in.
Global warming is a human this infused ideology, this another unattainable ideal of correcting the world from human influence, negative influence of pollution on all of this, right? And
Yeah.
so then what they end up doing, Jan, is calling us all climate deniers.
Yeah, but
See,
who's actually doing all the pollution? As far as I'm concerned, it's the large corporations with their
sure,
large productions and their
sure,
mass dumping, like in Ringwood, an
right,
area where I grew up. There was Ford had a toxic waste dump that they dumped there of paint,
right,
millions of
sure,
gallons of paint. They had to
right.
pay millions of dollars to clean it up. But look at that. Yet we're the ones who pollute the water out there.
Yeah, and I would say that the same people that are funding PolitiFact's fact checking efforts like this are
Nope.
probably the same people. Wouldn't take much to go and look, and this is a pattern that we all see.
Oh no, this
The
is this
same
is
people
not.
that are funding and supporting and
This is not
sponsoring this kind of
speculation.
investigation are the very people that need to be investigated, right?
Yeah, this is not speculation. This is in
Yeah.
fact the truth.
And so what they're doing here is it's a distraction. Like
It's a
all
dilemma.
logical fallacies is like a red herring, right?
It is.
And so
What's the red herring?
this is just one example. This is a straw man. This is how
Well,
the
strawman
mainstream.
and red herring are the same. They're
Well, they're
almost
all
basically the
distraction.
same.
That's what I'm saying. That everything is a red herring, and really, all else is a subtitle of red herring. They're all distraction.
Right? Red herrings like where you take a tangent, you attack the tangent, and you bring it back, and then you say, "See,
Right.
this is you.
Yeah.
This is you again."
Right.
Right?
And so they say you're a climate denier now. It's like no, not one person on the earth denies that there's climate. But
I got red
we
herring all the
do
time on
we
Facebook.
do question, you know, uh, this concept of human caused global warming that seems that the only conclusion or way to resolve it is going into my pocket and taxing me more. These are illogical arguments that they make. You know, that's
False
a
dilemma.
it's a giant logical leap to say that we cause global warming and you need to pay more to rid ourselves of it. I mean,
So
it's crazy.
the red herring fallacy, just real quick, the
Hmm.
red herring fallacy is say I said something, and what they do is they don't attack what I said. They make me say, or they make me agree to something else, and then they say because you agreed to this, you are also, agreeing to this, and therefore I am right. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what the red herring is. Something else is created by which you come into agreement on,
Yep.
and that's used to tie. Since you agreed to this, you're also agreeing to this.
Yeah, the red herring was used traditionally to throw the foxes off the hunt.
Right.
And that's literally what,
That's exactly what the red herring
yeah.
name is, right?
So this website's got the bandwagon fallacy listed as number 2, and this is a big one because this is the argument
Stockholm syndrome.
for the people, right? Uh, so just because a significant amount of the people believe a proposition is true doesn't automatically make it true, and we hear this all the time. And so this narrative that's going on in our world right now is a giant bandwagon fallacy. So this was my research this morning. I wanted to research and find some examples of the bandwagon fallacy. Well, what do I run into? But
That's
but
not a
this
hard one to research, pal. Look
right.
outside.
What I find is, and I did not know this up until about an hour ago, but there was these ash conformity experiments done in the 1950s in which Solomon Ash found that individuals would yield to the majority,
Yeah.
and they would
Herd
deny
mentality.
facts just in order to stick with the group.
That's the herd mentality, man.
This is the herd mentality, and so this is the Ash conformity experiments. So we just get into sort of the study of us. They researched our grandparents and figured out all of these likelihoods and theorized us. And so we are seeing the results of that today. He goes all the way back to Columbia University, Franz Boas, all of the same culprits, same era, right? So this one highlighted quote of his that intelligent, well-meaning, this is the conclusion that he had made from all of his studies, that intelligent, well-meaning young people are willing to call white black is a matter of concern. And that's exactly what we see today. And this is over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Not sure when these studies were done, but he was born a long time ago. I mean, here he's doing work with Edward Thorndike. Misspelling there, by the way, too. It's not a Y. But he's one of the founding
I think
American
it is a Y,
psychologists
dude.
from Teachers
I
College in
think the
Columbia.
misspelling is up here, isn't it?
No.
Because the dikes, those names are usually spelled with a Y. And I've studied
Yeah.
names quite a bit.
No, this guy's
I could be wrong.
I.
There's definitely
Yeah. Yeah. No,
no, it looks like
it's
you're
it's
right. Look,
well,
it's
it is
definitely
the spelling
misspelled.
because I've researched his own books and
Yeah.
everything.
No,
I've
no.
gone deep into this guy.
I've seen the Thorndike name before, though. It's always been with a Y, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So those experiments were run by this guy. Can we see?
Oh, he looks like a good fellow.
Trusting
He looks
young
like a
man, right?
trustee, and it does not look like a communist. Not one bit.
Right. And
Not even
so
a little bit. Social psychology, no.
and
Not
so
this guy.
we have people coming onto our site and wondering why they're reading things from 100 years ago and how that pertains to today. Well, it's because history repeats, and those that don't understand or learn from history are condemned to repeat it. And we are in a classic situation right now of that very conundrum. Okay, so when you read about Solomon Ash, he's not just some obscure psychologist. He, even today, or as of 2002, he was the 41st most cited psychologist of the 20th
And look
century.
where he went to school. Mm.
He's a Polish American Gestalt psychologist. Now, he studied under the father of Gestalt,
Oh, early life. I just went,
Wertheimer,
mm,
right? Grew up on the Lower East Side, went to
mm,
City College in New York. So he's rubbing shoulders with all the same
mm,
people. And
mm.
we can see that that continues out
So it'd be
throughout
no
his life.
surprise that he's coming up with the same conclusions, same theory, same thesis,
Yeah,
same type of motive operandi that they all work under, huh?
for sure. And the funding is probably from the same place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is the guy that really uh, studied people's tendencies and really identified this group mentality that's we've totally been exploited by. This knowing that people are far more worried about what their neighbors think or their friends think of them than what the truth of the matter is. So this is the guy that he studied under, He's the father,
I
one of
ain't
the
gonna
three
say nothing.
founders of
I'm leaving
Gestalt
this alone,
psychology,
bro. I'm
right?
leaving this alone.
New school, right? So we're looking at radical introduction of European ideology into the United States. Okay,
I love the
so
same theme, same thing over and over, over and over. It's different face, different name, but
yeah,
same, everything underlying is like, whoa, what did you just, oh, okay. So you clearly didn't even live your life. You were just a puppet. It
yeah.
almost seems like people were just puppets playing out these agendas, like da, 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 da.
They're tools of the trade.
Yeah, tools of the trade.
They were
Basically,
coveted,
they were
coveted.
removed. Their soul was removed from them, and then they just filled the spot, fill the
Yeah,
spot.
and they made that decision to sell their soul.
Well, everybody does. You have to. It's part of the deal.
Yeah, and level of complicity we could argue all day long, but
Build the
they
authority.
I think what it is that these people are actually very intelligent. All of these people that come up with these ideologies, but then they're coveted and controlled,
Yeah,
and then their technology that they've discovered is weaponized against the public. And I
basically.
mean, we're just seeing it
Everything's always
everywhere.
been weaponized. You know that.
Yeah,
Anything that's usefully weaponizable is weaponized.
yeah. Anything that can reinforce the state and diminish the individual, right? That
Oh,
anything that can be
wow.
used
That's
like that.
huge. That was huge.
So
That's some good words right there. We should use that more often.
So the third one here, the appeal to authority fallacy, is probably the most important for everybody to understand because that's what we're all living under right now. This is where the expert opinion is found, right? This is where,
We have to
uh,
understand it's so easy to fall victim to this. They use people with very high titles, very high names, and they say these things. And how are you going to deny it? You know that person went to school, spent 20 years, got a master's degree, PhD, his cousin's brother, sister, cousin, them, he's got a peer. They all singing this song.
mhm. Yeah, and they use, and what makes it a fallacy is that they just use their opinion and their perceived authority on subjects without offering evidence empirically,
That's not true. They do offer
deductively,
evidence.
right? So this is what you see on TV all the time.
But Dwayne, they do offer evidence, man. They give us all these statistics they've collected and computed and put in their algorithms and design why x
Mhm.
plus y equals z and all this and stuff. And when it
Mhm.
doesn't equal what it equals, they create these fancy algorithms and create abstracts. We've seen this. They have tons of evidence why you should listen to them.
Mhm.
They have colleges for this, brother.
Yeah,
Universities.
right. But anything past a surface look into those pieces of evidence that they use, we see that they're perverted by grant
Sophistry.
money. Yeah, yeah, we
Sophistry.
can go all the way back to
Sophistry.
sophistry. Yep, sophistry is a great word for what's happening there, especially in the academic world. How research and applied science is being funded only in the directions that the social engineers of our world wish it to go in. Anything other than that is not endorsed or sponsored. So, anything else to say on the appeal to authority fallacy?
I think we always beat that one up on a daily
Yeah, I mean,
basis.
this is the
That's generally
doctor,
our whole mission right there on that one.
right? Anytime you see in the headlines where it says experts say or any facsimile of that, you are
Throw yourself out the
you are
window.
now in contact with the appeal to authority fallacy and tread lightly, right?
No, you don't have to tread lightly. It's a
Well, about what
fallacy,
you believe,
false result.
right?
Resolves in something false, not true.
Right. And a wise
So there's no
person,
need to tread lightly. It's, throw yourself out the window. Throw it out the window. It's garbage right away.
right?
No need to tread nothing there.
A wise person can consider things without, you know, making
Going
them
crazy.
a part of their belief system. And so this is part of the process too, is being aware of the dangers out there and approaching them in an all adult sort of fashion rather than just consuming things like we do in this culture and worried about whether it's right or wrong and all of these things that really are all distraction, even the right wrong argument. Okay, so I don't know where we are as for time, but we should probably wrap this one up right here.
Mhm.
And we invite everybody to start researching these. You know, the Trivium book itself can be a lot, but you know, we're going to try to present more in the future to simplified ways that we can incorporate this stuff into our lives to make ourselves less susceptible to lies and the damages that those cause to ourselves and our loved ones that expands into our society. So I think next week we'll continue to elaborate on the trivium. This seems to be the one thing that
Remember
that
that we have
society is
these
missing.
books in our library too. Like we
Part.
have we have tons of material, literature, and books on this in our library on the website.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to go out there searching for anything. You simply can go to our library and a lot of the materials there. You can obviously go and do all the research on your own that you want, but if you wanted a place to start, you could always go to the library, find the
Mm-hmm.
section that addresses the trivium or the fallacies, find the book that we have there, and simply read that,
Yeah.
without having to go look for anything. And then you can start there. It's a good start anyway. It's
Yeah.
probably going to be not something you're going to find on Google, you know.
That's right. And you know, the articles that I wrote, they were meant for this time right now. Like the Gulag Archipelago, it's a 3-volume, 1,700-page book, and so you know, I wrote an article on it that takes 26 minutes, but the information there is critical to understanding our present situation because it's really a mirror of what's going on 100 years later. And so, you know, we've got articles, we've got sources that you can chase, and we encourage everybody to sort of get on that journey to the truth. Uh, it may seem imposing or a lot to take in at first as you are awakening, but you have to understand that to go in or to come out of the light, your eyes need time to adjust. So go easy on yourself. We're here for you. Jan has his own personal phone number if anybody wants to phone him and ask him questions about any of this, right? And he's waiting
Or
for somebody to
beat
call
me
him, by
up
the
or
way.
use me. I don't care. Ain't gonna scare me with nothing, man.
There might be a reward, a monetary reward for the first person to call Jan on his phone
Yeah, that could
and
be.
call him out.
Yeah, you know what? I did a website for a lady named Fiona McMurdo in Australia. Had a huge fan base and a huge following. It's still up. Um, but I did a if any I put silver coins throughout the website in places that I wanted people to read.
Hmm.
And if they were reading the material, they would find those silver coins. They would let me know that they found them, and I would have actually sent them the silver coin that they found.
No way.
Yeah, way, bro. I sent out like 3 or 4 silver coins. I still have half a dozen that I could use that we could actually put out through the website because our website is so vast. There's so much information, so many pages that I'll just put them in places where I want people to see them. You find that coin, I'll send it to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right
Now
on.
it's not sneaky. They're 1 ounce silver sterling coins, but they don't actually have an ounce of sterling, and I forget how many grams is in there. They're yeah. I mean, I wasn't too happy when I received them, so I was like, forget this. I'm gonna use this for something. There's silver in there, but they're not pure silver.
Right. That's a good idea. I like it. It's almost like having
The
what are they
treasure
called?
hunt.
Yeah, like Easter eggs or you
Yeah,
know,
it's a
something
treasure
like
hunt. I
that.
like treasure hunts. Folks like treasure hunts, so let's do that. I'll set that up. I'll see how many I got. They're not, like I said, they're not huge in value, but it's a nice little prize for taking the time to go through the website and
Yeah,
and you get rewarded for it. Why
we
not?
we don't have to be limited to coins either. We could do other things.
Well, I like the idea of the coin. I thought that was pretty neat
Totally.
because like bullion
Totally.
right now is huge.
Right.
You're gonna
Sure. Yeah.
send me bullion, bro? Like who does that?
Yeah.
Especially with what Russia just changed the ruble. So Russia says now, here's what they're saying, bro. You want to buy our energy products? No problem. We take 2 forms of payment:
Cash.
rubles, no, rubles, which is their form of money, monetary,
Yeah. Yeah.
and gold. That's it. Buy
Right.
and here's what they said. Our ruples 5,000 equals 1 gram, which made gold equal $52 to 1 gram. Right now, gold's I think at like 80
Mm-hmm.
or like 70, like it's popping. I forget what the numbers are, $68 or something. I don't know. It's like a $20 discrepancy. So now you could tell this is going to be huge because if you can get gold for $20 less than Russia, or by using ruples, you could buy gold. So basically, they just backed the ruple with gold. The American
Right.
dollar is backed by nothing,
Hmm.
nothing
So
but
this
debt.
is so this is an attack on the status quo
Oh,
monetary
this is a
system
huge attack,
by
bro.
by
You have no idea. This is going to
yeah,
be devastating.
and it's an alternate economy, right? It's an alternate economy, and this is why I encourage people to use cash here. Anytime we can create, you know, or continue uh, like cash to have it continue, we should be doing that. And so I can relate
No,
this
man.
and
Cash
bring
is
it all
dead.
back. Well, okay,
Yeah. You want bullion, you
cash is
want
dead. Yeah.
plants, you want stuff like you have. You know what I mean?
Well, you
A
put it into
garden.
infrastructure, right? Eventually. But at this time right now, people should be paying, well, especially when we had mandates, people should be paying cash. It's a great
Oh yeah,
way to be a
absolutely.
revolutionary, even if you're a grandma. And
Coins. I've been
so
paying with
when I
coins.
see this banking system trying to delete the monetary system, it encourages me to use it
Yeah.
until it's gone. I mean, it's
Yeah.
eventually going to go, but
Well, they
it's
want to
so
centralize everything.
just as an alternate economy is important, so I can relate this right back to our zine in that this is really what the power of our zine is that we create an alternate current of information. This is going to go through snail
Yeah.
mail now. It's not
Yeah.
recorded anymore. We can
Yep.
pass back and forth all the information that we want. And
Yep.
and none of it's recorded. So this is really where I want to push people. This is what I'm talking about, the escape from Plato's cave, taking
Yep.
responsibility for ourselves in this situation, and
It's a good point.
learning logical fallacy is a major step. You want to jump 3 steps, you're one of those kinds of people, just learn logical fallacy, and
Yep.
the whole world kind of unfolds in front of you in a way you'd never seen before, and decisions become easier to make. Your life starts turning into a more positive fashion. I talk very little about how this is influencing my life personally, but I trust me, what's going on is just incredible because we are applying order to our life, and I know we are fighting a new world order, and but really the government that is in state now is chaos. It develops chaos, it lives off chaos in order to make that order, and our version of order is a natural one. It
Well, doesn't it
doesn't
say
need a
out of order
biological.
comes chaos or something?
Yeah,
Chaos
that's
auto
that's right
ordeo
on the
order.
dollar bill.
Yeah. Out of chaos order.
Yeah, so you
It's a
know,
very satanic thing.
but we choose natural law, we choose natural uh, food,
Order
and
out of chaos.
so our order, and really that's what anarchy is. It's probably pretty late in the discussion here to bring up such power words as anarchy,
Ah,
but when you
never
really
too
look at the
late, bro.
definition,
Never too late.
the definition of anarchy is order, and the ideal that everybody has in their head about democracy and Western life, that's really anarchy in many ways.
But
And so when you look at how the bandwagon fallacy works, uh, and I've just lost my train of thought.
I was just thinking
Darn
about
it.
the Anarchist Cookbook. I'm gonna put that up. I don't think I put it up because it has instructions how to build bombs and stuff, and
Right.
do like meth and
And
LSD and
yeah, I
stuff. And
mean, that
I
can
was kind of hesitant
stereotype
about
us.
putting that up.
Well, it'll stereotype us for sure.
But I think once we develop that subscription list and we have paying subscribers, that's something I would be able to put up because those people are actually paying for that content. I
Right.
can't put that out there publicly, but within a private group, I could certainly distribute that kind of material. I
Okay.
wouldn't be able to distribute that publicly though.
Right. And so I remembered what I was thinking about this, the anarchists sort of look at the world, and really what they depend on is a social pressure to keep people from committing crimes against each other. They, it's really the definition is no government at all. But you know, we see here through an understanding of anarchy that laws kind of are. I mean, they're man-made. right? So there are disturbance in our natural frequency and in the way that we're supposed to naturally walk through the world. Uh, you know, as much as yeah, I mean, you see it through the logical fallacy how powerful it is that people are worried more about what people think of them than to do the right thing morally or ethically. You can see that that actually influences people a lot more than laws
Oh yeah.
do, right?
Oh
It's
yeah.
even though it's mandatory, we it's not law, but people put on the masks for your grandma or for you or so
Virtue signaling, they call that.
this is
That's what virtue
proof.
signaling is.
This actually is proof too in real time that anarchy is the answer.
No, dude.
Yeah. And if you
No.
yeah, well then yes it is.
Natural law is the answer.
Right, but
You're
anarchy
trying
and
to you're
natural
trying to
law are the
equate
same
natural
thing,
law and
brother.
no, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
anarchy.
it's okay. I like the fact that we are not agreeing on this. This is something that we can work towards. I could prove my case and you can
Yeah.
prove your case. I don't have to agree with you on it.
Yeah, let's
That's not we there's probably a lot of things we don't agree on, and that's
mhm.
great. I love that.
Yeah.
You know, I
So
don't
I'm
want to
going
be
to
two birds singing the same song.
so then every chance I get, I am going to give you examples of how and why anarchy works and you're going to go forward showing me how anarchy
I
doesn't
ain't
work.
got nothing to prove to you. I ain't got the time to chase you down, try to teach you anything. I'm trying to learn from you how to do things, and try to teach you something. You crazy, man. Drinking that Kool-Aid.
Okay. I think that's probably a good place to end her, right? We just like a good married couple, we can let this go, right? And talk about it
Hey,
tomorrow.
yo, Megan never brought you your coffee, bud, and I didn't get mine either.
Got it right here. I'm
Oh,
just
she
not
did.
sipping on
Oh,
her.
what a
Yeah. No,
sweetheart.
she's a darling.
I, I know
She's
I want one now.
okay. So, cheers to you, brother.
Likewise, man.
Appreciate
Good
all of your
seeing you.
time and effort.
Always.
And
I'm gonna be
uh,
updating the site today, so lots of changes
yeah,
today.
good, good. That's really cool. We're moving forward there, and uh, everybody look into this zine and read that latest article we have. There's actually quite a bit of new content up there, just in the last few days. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody dive in.
Yep.
Come to the
All
pub,
right.
have a beer.
Be good, guys.
All right, guys.
See you next Sunday.
Catch you later.
Later, man.